The sun hung high over Kruger National Park, turning the endless grasses into waves of golden heat that shimmered in the midday light. In this sprawling paradise of wild wonders lived a creature both terrifying and magnificent. The male lion, the locals whispered about as the ruler of the savannah. His coat was a burnished bronze, his mane a fiery halo that crowned his head like the sun itself. Each step he took shook the earth with silent authority. Even elephants dared not trumpet their defiance within his domain. Tourists travelled from every corner of the globe just for a chance to glimpse that regal silhouette against the horizon. A moment frozen in awe. Today, though, fate would weave an extraordinary tale that would bind man and beast together forever. A short distance away, along the rim of a dusty lake, a herd of antelopes grazed under the scorching sun. Their soft muzzles plucked tufts of grass, while the lion watched through a curtain of tall reeds, his golden eyes narrowed in cold calculation. He selected his target with surgical patience. The lead antelope, strong in build but hampered by an old wound that slowed its weight. Time seemed to stretch as he weighed the wind's direction, gauging whether his scent would betray him. When the moment came, there was no preamble. Only raw, explosive power as he leaped forward. Antelopes scattered like startled birds, hoofbeats pounding the earth. In panic, several plunged into the water, seeking safety in the shallows. But the wounded leader, finding no other escape, bolted into the lake's deceptively calm surface. The lion, caught in the frenzy of the hunt, did not hesitate. He followed. Splashing water flew in every direction as predator and prey vanished beneath the surface. The antelope paddled desperately, its thin legs carving futile arcs in the deep. For a moment, the lion felt a rush of triumph, until cold reality slid over him like ice. The water was deeper than he thought, the bottom a mire of mud and sudden drop-offs. Powerful currents lurked unseen, tugging at his limbs. His chest burned with each gulp of water. Each stroke a struggle against nature's hidden forces. Attempts to surface met only the swirling undertow, dragging him under again. Above him, the antelope reached the shallow edge and climbed out on trembling hooves. Behind it, the lion's roar, once a thunderous decree, drowned in splashes as he thrashed, each breath a desperate gasp. Meanwhile, Ranger Sifo was making his routine patrol along the park's winding paths. His off-road vehicle crunched over red earth, dust swirling behind him in a lazy plume. Years of watching over these lands had tuned his senses, the way the wind carried scents, how birds fell silent when danger lurked. That afternoon, he noticed an unusual ripple on the lake's surface, a frantic movement unlike the lazy drift of hippos and crocodiles. He slowed the engine to a whisper, eyes scanning the far shore. Was it a lion's splash? He thought perhaps another hunt, until precious seconds passed and no mane broke the waves. Alarm sharpened his pulse. Whatever lay beneath could be in mortal peril. Without a moment's hesitation, Sifo swung open the door and ran, jacket unfastened, toward the water's edge. The cool mud slurped around his boots, each step a battle against suction. He dove in, jacket flapping like dark wings, and sank into the murky depths where visibility vanished. Groping blindly, he felt the rough tapestry of mane and skin. Sick with water and grit, wrapping his arms around the lion's front leg, he summoned every ounce of human strength and began the grueling haul back to shore. Mud tugged at his legs. The lion's heavy body slid and bucked in his grasp. Danger screamed at him in every heartbeat. After all, he was wrestling the savannah's very king. Yet the thought of letting that noble creature drown ignited his resolve. They emerged together in a heaving surge of water. The lion lay limp, its breath stilled, mane plastered to its head in wet locks. Sifo dragged him onto dry land, kneeling beside the great cat with a racing heart. The setting sun painted the world in fiery hues, but to Sifo, colour blurred into urgency. He knew first aid, but never on anything this big, this dangerous. Yet time was the enemy now. He pressed two fists against the lion's broad chest, counting compressions in a steady rhythm. As sweat mingled with lake water on his forehead, he leaned close and tried mouth-to-snout resuscitation, avoiding the lethal curve of fang and jaw. Seconds stretched to minutes, each one a spiral of hope and fear. Then a faint twitch, a quiver beneath the soaked mane. Sifo halted, ear against the lion's muzzle, and caught the faintest exhale of breath. Relief surged through him like electricity. He reached for his radio to call for backup, but kept one hand on the lion's side, stabilizing the fragile lifeline. Uncapping a syringe filled with resuscitation drugs, he plunged it into the thick muscle just behind the shoulder, careful not to disturb more than necessary. They lay there under the gathering dusk, man and beast, bound together in a moment neither could have foreseen. The sun slipped below the horizon, leaving a final blush of gold against darkening skies. Sifo scooped water from a canteen and flicked droplets across the lion's whiskered face. The cold touch sparked a flutter of movement. Once more, life flickering back where nearly none remained. Slowly, painfully, the lion lifted its head. Eyes clouded at first, then clearing like polished amber as it took in its saviour. It opened a dry throat and let loose a soft roar. More a murmur than a command. Sifo smiled, a weary but triumphant grin. Then eased back to give the great cat room. In the gathering twilight, he extended his hand, palm up, in a silent offering of peace. The lion leaned forward, sniffed, then emitted a low, appreciative growl. No charge, no claw, just cautious trust. Sifo felt his heart expand with wonder. As darkness settled, he draped a broad cloth over the lion's flank to hold in warmth and anchored himself near the patrol car, hazard lights blinking a gentle warning. Moon side by side, both keeping vigil. Morning found the lion standing on wobbly legs, testing each one with ancient wariness. It shuffled a few steps, then lifted its head in a triumphant arc that echoed the sunrise. A roar burst from its throat. Raw, powerful, proclaiming its return to life. Sifo's chest swelled with pride and relief. He radioed the wildlife support team. Time to bring the lion home. While waiting, he offered chunks of dried meat, the lion accepting the meal with a hungry snap that spoke of regained strength. When the support vehicle rolled in, biologists and trackers approached with cautious respect. Sifo waved them forward. They secured the lion gently and prepared to drive it back to its heartland within the park. Before climbing in, the lion paused, nose in the air, then turned its gaze back on Sifo. A look of quiet understanding, almost gratitude, that passed between them in a heartbeat. And when doors closed and engines rumbled, a giant silhouette remained at the edge of the clearing before melting back into the golden grasses. From that day forward, whenever Sifo patrolled the endless plains of Kruger, he felt the lion's presence just beyond sight, a silent guardian with amber eyes watching over him. In a land where survival of the fittest was law, an act of compassion had rewritten the rules. A ranger had saved a king, and in return, the king's spirit vowed protection. If you've been inspired by this incredible story, don't let the adventure end here. Hit that like button, subscribe for more wild rescues, and share to spread the legend of man and lion in the heart of South Africa. There's more where this came from, so stay tuned and keep exploring the untamed wonders of our world. Sifo watched the lion disappear into the tall grass, its silhouette merging with the golden waves of the savannah. He leaned back against his patrol vehicle, sweat still clinging to his skin, and exhaled. The day had started like any other, but it had ended with a bond forged between man and beast, one born not of dominance or fear, but of compassion. As he reached for his radio to report the lion's full recovery, a sense of quiet pride warmed his chest. It wasn't just about saving a life. It was about honouring the fragile threads that tie all living beings together in the wild. Over the next few weeks, whispers of Sifo's bravery spread through the park like wildfire. Tourists who once came to catch a glimpse of the ruler of the savannah now asked to meet the ranger who had once pulled him from death's grip. Children sent letters with hand-drawn lions and hearts, but Sifo never sought fame. Every time he drove his route and saw that familiar tawny figure in the distance, sometimes lounging under an acacia, sometimes pacing alongside his vehicle, he needed no applause. The lion hadn't just survived, it had remembered. And that, Sifo believed, was the real miracle.